Lance, let's go to another question right now from our friends in the mailbag. Here you go.
Okay, so here we go from Giovanni of Ohio. So hello, Giovanni, if you're listening or watching. So how crazy will it be if Pat McAfee really played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season?
Well, you know what? The way this question is phrased, like how crazy would it be? Like, no offense to Pat, who I happen to be a big fan of. I've always been a fan of Pat McAfee. I thought he was an incredibly athletic punter. He gave the Colts a new dimension that a lot of people didn't have. And one of the reasons that I truly like Pat McAfee is he comes from Pittsburgh like I do. So a lot of his sensibility and the way he talks and his thought process is something I'm familiar with. For those of you that have lived in a city for a long time, raised in one city, and you leave the city and you run into people from your city, you notice that people kind of have the same thought process, or at least I have. That goes pretty much the same for almost everywhere except for Florida and California that I've lived in. And those people just think like whatever. They're so random. It's hard to really pin down a real thought process from people. But if you're from areas like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Chicago, people kind of had the same kind of sensibility. So I've always enjoyed Pat McAfee. When he was on Twitter, I used to follow him back in the day. I still follow him, I think. But I don't go on Twitter very much. It's a cesspool. But I do watch the Pat McAfee show. Big fan of what he's done over there. Guy's built a huge empire. Actually, that I think is going to continue to grow. He was super smart to get on YouTube. He was super smart to get things going, and he would have been super dumb to go and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the word that I heard was that he was only going to go in for a week or two, but he couldn't pass the COVID protocols at the time because their punter got hurt. I would have not given up my show, everything he's built over there, his sponsorships and things like that, just to go and punt for a week. Now, there's another side that says if he would have done that, it would have raised his profile and it would have made the show even better. Maybe. But the reality of it is I don't think it would have been that crazy. And I don't think it would have been that life-altering. The coolest part would have been that Pat, who, again, I'm a fan of, would have gotten himself a Super Bowl ring. Because anybody that plays one that's on the roster at all at any time throughout the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ends up getting a Super Bowl ring. So I think it would have been an interesting story, Lance. I think it would have been kind of cool to look back and go, wow, Pat McAfee got a ring for only playing one game. But I'm not sure that it would have been a quote-unquote crazy story. What do you think about the Pat McAfee thing?
So it would be nice to actually see him back in the roster. I mean, he's just 33 years old, so he has a lot of fresh legs coming into the game. And if he does check in, even if it's 1 week, then I have a new favorite team for 1 week and 1 week only, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then I could pledge my allegiance to another team after he doesn't suit up anymore. So It would be nice, actually, just to see Pat McAfee catching the Lombardi trophy from Tom Brady and not somebody else. That guy can party as hell. So it would be nice to actually just have him for that victory party.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be drunk as hell, just like Tom Brady, and it's a good time for Tampa Bay. And not to mention, he somehow completes his career with the Super Bowl ring, even though he just played for 1 week.
Yeah, it would have been a hell of a story. And you're right. He definitely would have made that boat parade crazy. But I just, as far as like the actual play, being crazy that way, I'm not sure it would have been that big of a deal. But yeah, it would have been a cool story. Would have been a great story for a guy to come out of retirement, punt for a game or two, end up with a Super Bowl ring. I mean, that's just, you can't end your career on a better note.